what do you consider to be default cool? For me personally, things like figurines that look awesome from iconic characters look pretty cool, and they're pretty default cool. Like if somebody had a full body version of like Assassin's Creed's Connor, just gigantic sitting in the background, default cool, all right? I don't care if you don't even know Assassin's Creed, that's awesome. Anyways, but there are other things that to me I think fall into that categorization. For instance, helmets. One of the coolest parts about being in the 3D printing community is how many people love the Deadpool mask, to the medieval knight helmets, to like weird faceplate armor and stuff like that. And of course, I am one of those people as well. And the thing that to me I've always thought looks really, really sick is, of course, an Oni mask. Ghost of Tsushima like Oni mask, like ninja, metallic, representing dark Onis to kind of strike fear in the enemy. Anyways, that's what we're painting today. And I think we did pretty good. I think we did pretty good. We'll show at the end. I'm not sure what to do here. I want to show you that it's hopefully cool. I just don't want you to not be able to watch the process because it kind of makes the whole thing make sense. Anyways, by the way, I fully designed the Oni mask from scratch, so it's a one-of-one creation. In addition to that, I custom painted the entire thing, and it took an ungodly amount of time. And you'll be able to win one of these entirely for free. No, well, not entirely free. This time around, we did free last time. I'm hoping it's okay to ask for you guys to cover the shipping if you're interested in it to that extent. So do not sign up unless you're at the very least willing to cover some of the shipping. Shipping's not crazy. It's usually around $25 to $30 around there. If you're outside of Canada or the US, that's when it starts to get a little bit higher, but the evaluation of something that is handmade, custom made, and one of one tends to have this level of price tag to it, just so you know. But I understand if that's not everyone's cup of tea, but alas, it'll just be the price of shipping to you. So only sign in if you're at the very least willing to kind of compromise on $25 or something like that. Alas, more on how you guys can enter. It's extremely easy at the end, but let's get into how we actually are going to approach piecing this thing together. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with the Oni mask. We, of course, primed it in black, and we are going to be dry brushing it. Also, that's my cool maker's mark. But yes, right now, our main goal that we're trying to do is actually apply a dark metallic undertone that kind of is eroded in nature, because we're going to, of course, build that up. And, of course, how we're doing that is by dry brushing it, and we're just trying to basically keep the like recesses kind of somewhat black, so there's some contrast there, in addition to also making it dark, because what we're really just trying to do is get it to read as a kind of gray. Because we're going to come back with, of course, a airbrush to kind of add some like blacks and browns so that it kind of looks eroded and less shiny, but it still has that hint of that kind of grayish metallic color. So that's essentially what we're doing right now. We're basically doing that on both masks, basically doing an value scale of 3, so really dark essentially. And right now, the only thing that sucks about dry brushing is that it leaves behind a kind of chalky residue, so I'm trying to limit that by, of course, using a sponge, which it helped a good bit. I still don't like dry brushing for that reason exactly. And of course, I wanted to have contrast with this Oni mask of having like really, really bright, basically glowing teeth, like gold glowing teeth that are kind of still eroded, in addition to this kind of like bluish tint of metallic color kind of shining through around it. And I just love the way that kind of contrast played out. But there is a lot of tiny details within the teeth, so of course dry brushing really helps to make sure we can kind of keep a lot of those. And of course this one actually didn't turn out too chalky, but I think it's because your paint needs to be like slightly more wet, but it's kind of, that makes it harder to do the dry brushing method. Anyways, also I decided to paint some of the horns and tusks actually to be more gold in nature. And again, right now we're basically just trying to basically apply a mass undercoat of all the colors we want things to read as. And then we are going to, of course, add a kind of like a surface level stain to it, which is going to take away a lot of what everything reads as, because that's natural how grime would build up. And then we're going to slowly build up a highlight, a kind of a value scale of like 5 and then 8, or slightly bright and then really bright, basically. And yeah, right now we're just basically highlighting the tiny little intricate gold inlays that I think would be really nice. And here we are finally doing the airbrush stuff. My favorite thing, man. Airbrush is king. Also, I will say metallics are brutal in always. So right now it looks kind of how it would normally read as, but sometimes lighting can differ and sometimes it looks more dark in nature, but this is more akin of what it is actually looking at, which it has like reflective property. But anyways, all I'm doing right now is I'm just taking a mixture of inks and basically just blasting it almost everywhere. In fact, I think I might have went a little heavy-handed. And also I wanted to kind of create a different type of metal. not just a boring kind of gray metal. So I created kind of this bluish hued metal, which actually turned out really, really good. Kind of come across as like a magical silvery kind of metal. And of course, we're just using a dry brush again. That's the only thing that I'm not sure if I'd repeat again. I'd probably use a different method to apply all this, but dry brushing creates this kind of chalky grittiness to your paint and your highlight, which it's really nice to do edge highlights, but when you're trying to cover so much volume like this, it kind of creates this weird thing. But it works in addition to kind of what this is, which is trying to mimic like erosion. So of course we're still doing the dry brush method, and I think it's really starting to kind of come alive slowly at this point. So we have like our darkest dark, which is kind of that griminess, and then we have of course a nice blue bright, which is kind of our medium or base, and then eventually we're going to add even more to that. And of course this is just me basically doing the same thing again. When you dry brush, sometimes it leaves behind like flat surfaces really hard, so this is me just coming across it, trying to kind of blend and pick and choose what will look the most aesthetic versus what is just kind of able to be caught by the dry brush. And once again, now we are moving on to, of course, rebuffing out the gold and being really, really careful. Again, I used one of these flat brushes and dried the hell out of it, so there's like no paint. So it's just trying to get the absolute highest lip or edge of that. And again, what we're trying to do is we basically want it to read as gold, so we painted it as an undercoat of gold, and then of course we applied a bunch of erosion, i.e. blacks, browns, things like that, like natural grunge, whatever you want to call it. And then now we are going to go back with that gold and kind of slowly start to build it up. And of course we are doing the same thing that we would do with a value scale. So we're taking our innate 5 gold, which is pretty bright, and we're adding some black to darken it, and then we're of course building it up as we go, and we're trying to catch the absolute highlights. Of course we'll be doing that a little bit later, but anyways, trying to get all these little horns takes so much time, by the way. And now we're basically doing something that is really, really cool, which is basically highlighting the highest tier. So basically all metal has things where it catches light, and it has mass reflection when it catches that light. So even if it has heavy erosion, kind of like the scraping of a mask or that steel will basically reveal the true maximum sheen, or like innards, I guess, of the, of course, metal. So we'll give it that nice shine. So that's all we're doing right now is we're going, this took a long time by the way, going through and highlighting specific key areas that would basically have that kind of hard edge and have that likely hard shine. And it turned out so unbelievably cool. Again, this is by far one of those things that takes a lot of time, but it just stands out in such a massive way. Unfortunately, because the nature of metallics, it's so hard for you to be able to visualize stuff through video because it's all about reflective light. And yeah, your eyes are much better at perceiving that kind of reflection than a flat, video. So you can only really see it when I start to pivot it and shift it around. But of course, we did the same thing, of course, with the gold. That's the only thing about these things I kind of slightly wish I did differently. I wish I would have made the gold slightly less like yellowy or like bright, I guess. Like saturated maybe is the best word to phrase it. I would have probably made it a lot more softer, because kind of the blue, especially when you see it at the end, kind of has that kind of softer transition, and I kind of like harmony more than I do contrast. I know people are kind of different. Sometimes they like red and green, and I just too much. I like rather something sequence, so to speak. So anyways, right now I'm just showing off everything, and I'm just kind of doing the same thing, showing how meticulous it is, trying to find these edges that make sense, dabbing away the stuff that I have. Also, what do you call it? By the way, people didn't mention this. My desk is dirty. I get it. I'm sorry. I can't. I tried like scrubbing the thing, the mat. It's silicone, but you think it doesn't help. It doesn't come off. Anyways, so now we're finally on, of course, to the bones, or the kind of antlers that are a part of the Oni mask, which was actually really interesting to do because there's no like hard transitionary point. Essentially, it just kind of fades metal to bone, which is really fun, learning how to do shading to do that. But anyways, all we're essentially doing here is we're going with a brown undercoat, and of course applying it with a sponge so we can kind of keep some of the texture and kind of blend things in a kind of a chaotic way. And we're just using basically the same thing, just using a kind of bone-like yellowy kind of thing, and then building up, of course, with like pure white being our highlight. And it turned out really well, especially considering we're of course going to go back with basically an ink glaze and shade in things right now. So if you guys don't know how to make a glaze, you basically just want a really transparent ink essentially, and then you use a glaze so that it has some thickness, and it kind of is really thin, so it's not just going to bomb down a bunch of color. This way you're not like gonna like destroy what you just created. You're just going to add subtle shadows. You can keep relayering those shadows to build them up over time. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is much better as far as being able to see those like subtle highlights of those edges. But yeah, as you can see, it's just kind of a brownish yellow, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna focus on the transitionary points of the antlers and slowly build it over time. And I just think it looks so sick at the end. Again, I hope that in the video it reads right, but just that right level of like brown and yellows and shading those perfectly creates this kind of like natural erosion that bone would kind of have as it transitions and all the grime kind of builds up. Again, I like this kind of thing. I'd rather something be like kind of weathered and tell a story and look really realistic in that way than to kind of be like super bright and kind of irritating to look at, you know? But I still try to have fun with it with the blue. I think, or the gold, sorry, or not the gold, sorry, the metal, the metal. The metal to me, I think, is really like it's kind of like a weird elvish kind of vibe where it has kind of a mysticism about it. It's not just plain gray, you know. Anyways, I just put on basically a little bit of a varnish. Varnish is really hard because it kind of keeps everything sealed, but it also just makes it really, really hard. It takes away a lot of the shine and the aspects of metal that are really cool. But anyways, as you guys can see, hopefully you guys can see some of the bone transitions. It's something I think you can appreciate more when you actually have it in your hands, which, by the way, you will be able to have this in your hands. I really, really love the way these turned out. The only thing that I might have changed is, of course, the teeth are a little bit bright as far as the saturation point of the yellowy gold. And of course, I might not have done the dry brush method. We'll do other masks and we'll definitely apply different methods, but I still think they looked pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, as you could see, I actually painted two of these. Sorry. Lighting also is weird because metallic, so it looks weirder in almost every scene. Anyways, but I basically have a small one that's a little more flatter in nature, and then I have a little bit of a wider one where it kind of curves more around the face. So this one is probably better for a female face, basically, because it's significantly smaller and doesn't curve. You guys can see it's kind of flatter. There's a little bit of play there. Sorry, I'm not sure you can hear me because my mouth is covered. But then this one actually kind of goes around your face and kind of cups and seals right in there. So like it's face to face, perfectly in there, and yes, I think it looks kind of cool. I've seen myself in the viewfinder. It kind of looks kind of cool. Anyways, but yeah, also if you just wanted to set this on like the desk, I think it will look still really, really rad. The other thing is I didn't actually put any like holes in here, so you could actually like fuse this to your face. All you would do is just get any kind of super glue, any kind of like cloth or Velcro, and then you would just seal it on the sides, and that's it. It would hold to your face really well. 3D printing stuff, the stuff I use, it will bind because it has grooves in it, so it'll be able to set that glue in and won't budge really. So yeah, on the side note, how are you going to actually opt in to win one of these? No, I'm not giving away both. I want to try something with this. I feel like I can't just keep giving away stuff. I need to actually gauge what people are actually valuing and what people would be willing to spend a small bit of money on, or it's not small amount, but an amount of money on. So the one I'm giving away, I believe, is going to be this one, which is a little bit smaller in nature, and it's kind of more for a female face, but it's also just awesome if you just set it on a table. It's just, yeah, for some people, I'm not sure if it would fit their face exactly. But this one is way bigger. This one, the bigger one, will be actually on our site for sale, basically. It'll be around $80. I know people may think that's a little crazy. Again, I'll show you like comparable offers that I also like. I think this is pretty good as far as like the paint job that other people have done. I think we've done pretty good, if not better. And we're not charging that level of amount because I don't believe I've developed the proof, and I don't think I've done enough to warrant that. Maybe if I continue to deliver over time again, people might be okay with that. But alas, for right now, I'm just trying to do as much as I can. So this one aside, this is there if anyone wants it. If not, I'll just keep it. It's also one of the reasons why I'm like, yeah, if I keep this, oh no. But in order to get this one, it's really simple. I wanted to streamline how you guys can actually opt into this. You just go into the link in the description down below. It will take you to our website. You put your email in there because I need a way to contact you. You put your name because I need a way to address you when I make the email if you won. And then of course you put your city. The reason why is because I want to basically do the math to get an estimate of what my shipping cost would be to send it to you. So I want to be able to email you if you win and say like, hey, by the way, this is the likely shipping cost. Will you be willing to basically cover that? Because otherwise it kind of ranges and I'm eventually just going to gas out and I'm not going to have enough money to basically send things to you guys. So I can dedicate hours and hours and hours to something and hopefully make you something really cool that's a one of one or one of two, sorry, one of two. And hopefully you guys will want it. But if not, I totally understand. Worst case scenario, I just keep them. But I just want to let you guys know that that's how we're doing it now. That way it's not as weird. And I did it in a special way. So every single time you opt in, you will basically be opt into an individual draw. But yeah, hopefully the process is significantly easier to just opt into. It doesn't require you to like tell your address or anything like that. I just need a city just so I can get a ballpark, and then I just need your email so I can reach you somehow. And yes, if you do reach out, once again, if you do opt in, please be aware that hopefully you're okay with covering the shipping. Because again, if I keep covering the shipping, I'm just not gonna be able to do this. Whereas at least if people can cover the shipping, I can keep painting and creating stuff and giving it out to people. And hopefully people would be willing to still do a testimonial, considering it's still like 18 hours of work to make one of these. Alas, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you so much, and I hope I can see you in the next video. By the way, I did make Shane. That's Oryx's body. Anyways, if you know, you'll know. Next video is gonna be a lot. Bye.